I'm Milan. I've been here since 10 years, for 10 years I think now. So that's the 10th time. I've started with 5 years, and only 1 year later my teacher told me to come here, and I think it's awesome, and it still is, yeah.
I'm Mabel, and I'm, well, I think about 7 years now here in Hague at the Bass Camp, and I learned a lot at this time. I think it's the ensemble, when you play with other bassists, especially when they at the same level.
You have to find professors who are willing to work with kids. And if you imagine that you have a lot of professors just waiting for somebody to come because, you know, it's a famous person, then it's quite hard to convince some of them to say, okay, we want you to work with little kids as well, because this is where it starts.
I'm Gabriele. I'm 56, almost 56 years old, and I started playing the bass about 7 years ago. And with that I came to Hague, to the bass camp, as a starter, like a mini bass player, not being adult. And my teacher said, well, you just have to go. I couldn't just play anything, but it was so inspiring, the atmosphere and the learning atmosphere, so I decided every year I'm coming back to Hague and learning something new.
So in the beginning we had maybe 4 adults, but they became friends. That's basically the thing. And so they just told other friends, or there were other teachers who also teach adult players. And so we now have, I think this year it was 8 when I'm right, 8 or 9. And so what they do, they send each other messages, they phone each other, they organize pieces that they want to play together in their ensemble. And so this is really quite active. They are quite active customers, you can say. And also, for me it's interesting because they are obviously the most critical. So it's really, yeah, for us it's an honor to have them there, because they really can help you to develop a good sense of quality.
I remember the first time that I was able to, with the bow, get and pull a nice warm sound from that D string, and I thought, okay, this is what it's about. And that sound has so many colors and shades, just an open string, but as a double bass player, you know how many tunes are in that one string.
Being part of this orchestra, of this group, this is the biggest advantage, that you finally have an instrument that makes you part of an orchestra, of a classic orchestra or a salon orchestra, a jazz band, and especially as a bass player, you are trained to live the breaks and to count until it's your turn, and this requires a lot of patience and a lot of listening, and I'm glad that I'm not a violinist. Yeah, but this community, this group of respectful people who have this music passion in common helps you to be part of it with your bass, and that's the biggest plus.
I'm Nuria, and I'm coming to the Bass Camp since like 4 years, since I'm 14, I'm 18 now. And yes, I think it's always a pleasure once a year when I come here and meet people who do the same thing, I mean have the same interests. And I think it's also very beautiful when we meet up and can talk to each other.
Hi, I'm Juliane and I'm originally from Düsseldorf in Germany. I started here quite a way because my first teacher, Jürgen Michel, and then my second teacher, Gottfried Engels, they both founded this camp. So we were involved by coming here, having lessons and stuff, and then watching for the younger children, and then at the end, like getting older, also taking some teaching parts and doing ensemble stuff, being part in the bass orchestra and doing the whole thing. It's really cool seeing the people who are growing up, because usually the people come here starting at age 6 or 7, the youngest ones, and then they start playing in bass 8 and probably don't know what an orchestra is, don't know where to play really and what to play some open strings and like really basic stuff. And then so they start to get involved and making contact with other kids, and then being proud to play their bass 8, and then as they get older they travel to bass 1. So when we look at bass 1 right now, I still remember some faces which I've seen for years at this bass camp.
If you think about how it is to teach a little kid, sometimes it's harder to think about the beginning than teaching somebody who is already plays for 5 years or 6 years. That's it. And this is the toughest part, I would say, to find people. But at the point where we are now, it's we are quite. We are not famous, but people know us. So it can happen that I call some professor or some professional player who says, we already know what you are doing. So this is just because of Facebook, Instagram and all those media things. And so the situation gets better.
No matter how you play and how young and old you are, there's always this kind of friendship here at the camp, and it's like a family coming close together, and everyone is just here as a bass player and feels accepted and stuff. And it's really nice. I mean, today I met this guy who's now playing in bass 1, who was playing a beautiful Larsson concerto and this Van Hal concerto, and I still remember when he was here for the first time, where we used to sing goodnight songs to them when they were kids, and it's really nice to see them growing up and then being friends.
I think that first of all, you have to find colleagues you can trust. Because, of course, you know how it is. If you have 10 people together, everybody has his own idea of how it should work. And what I would do is just find 3 or 4 friends who also teach the bass. I mean, all across the place. That's what we did. And then you just have to do it. I mean, it's quite easy. Just if you imagine you have 4 teachers, everybody brings 10 students. Then you have a bass camp, 40 people.
I think I just kept going on the line, and then I ended up studying bass because it was like a smooth transition, also because of this bass camp actually. I was studying with my first teacher, and then it got into this pre-college education in Cologne at the university where Gottfried Engels was teaching, and then he made me meet a lot of people here which were coming for teaching masterclasses, and then I ended up studying in Freiburg. And so I think it's just a continuation of great things which you can absorb here.
But I want to learn from my colleagues. What kind of ideas do they have? How do they teach? Did I do everything right during my teaching career? And so it's also something like for quality control. And so I would really recommend it, because if you just stay on your bubble alone, you have no quality control. You are just a teacher from some regional small city, and your students can only compare themselves to the other students in your class.
I think the people, of course, there are so many different people you meet, and the teachers are great. Yeah, it's just the community I love here, and I've learned so much.
Everybody has some new input or another way to say something. For example, I think 3 years ago there was Terry Babet from France, and he makes a very cool vibrato, and I asked him to do a glissando and a vibrato combined. This sounds so funny. When we have the concert and everyone plays this piece, and it's always like really beautiful to see, or amazing to see what everyone has worked on with the professor.
So I'm already a junior student, kind of, in Hochschule in Düsseldorf, and I guess I will continue from there, and that's what I want to do, yeah.